How's it going, everyone? It's Artifact. Hope you've all got your coffees and you're ready to improve your music production. Today I want to help you with improving your low end, getting a more meaty, tastier, beefier sub bass and kind of low mid range. This is a kind of experiment that I've kind of come up with today to try and improve the low end of like a bass line using Vital. But before we get into that, make sure you absolutely dominate that like button. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel as well. And also take advantage of the links down below to my one-on-one tuition, my Vital presets, and also my Patreon Discord community. Also have mastering services down there as well. Let's get into the video. I'm gonna let you listen to the loop and see if you like it. And then if you do, then you can continue watching the video and then we can explain how I made it. Let's have a listen to the bass. So obviously very simple MIDI pattern, but I think that the bass line is really, really powerful, and it's kind of, at least on my headphones I can hear it's really sort of firing on all cylinders. So how do we make this bass line then? Well, actually it's a combination of sine waves, but it's also the way that we blend them all together and the different effects modes that we can use in Vital to create these interesting I guess harmonics that kind of make the sine wave, you know, these small details just make it kind of all come together in such a way that it becomes really powerful and really fills out the low end of your frequency spectrum. So if I just turn off my effects here and let's go into the modulation first. I've just got my LFO2 here and I've got it on dotted quarter notes. And you can kind of hear on the filter here, it's going dum-wom, dum-wom, dum-wom. So it's kind of like a nice offbeat rhythm. But the point is just that you can have some kind of movement going on so that you can drag the different parameters to this movement. And then you can always change the movement later. But if you start with some movement on, you know, because we need to get some life into the sound to begin with. So I start off with a oscillator one, and we're going to use sine waves for everything and a little bit of white noise, and we're going to use form scaling and frequency modulation all kind of together. So if you listen to the first one, we can already get that sine wave moving a little bit with a tiny bit of formant scaling. So we're just going to turn that on here and turn it up on the LFO2 at just really, really small amount. But you can see it kind of starts to give the sine wave a bit of movement here, which we can control really easily using the LFO. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add in another sine wave an octave lower. And again, we've got the tiny bit of form scaling movement going on. And this one, we're going to put a little bit of white noise into the sample here, into the oscillator here, just by FM from sample. And if you can't quite hear it, what I've done is I've actually put a macro onto the amount so I can fine tune it here. And I only want a really small amount because later we're going to smash it through a compressor and it's going to really bring up the high end of that white noise. But if we go back to our oscillator 1 here, going to frequency modulate this new low sine wave into oscillator 1. So that's giving it this kind of real, like kind of beefy low end power already. And things are already moving with our formant scaling on both. And we're gonna pad this a little bit further with another sine wave, and this is why I love Vital over Serum, because you can have more sine waves. Well, actually, I think you could probably get 3 in Serum as well, but whatever. It's a better color. All right. So this one, we're gonna do the same on the form scaling a little bit, and this one we're gonna also frequency modulate from oscillator 3. So it's the low end sine wave that's like being multiplied into these higher up octave sine waves. And I'm going to turn the level down on this one because it draws a little bit too much attention away from the real sub when it's up too high. So you bring that down nicely just there, and that's sounding pretty good already. And we can also track the amount of speed of our LFO here. And I've just put it onto the amount here. So if I wanted a faster kind of wobbling sub. Next thing I've done, before we go over to the effects, is I've turned on a filter with phaser positive, and this has a few modulations going on the LFO. It's going up in, well, the cutoff actually is going down a little bit, and the mix is coming up as that cutoff is moving. So we're kind of mixing in the filter and also moving the filter a bit at the same time on the LFO here, and it's only modulating oscillator 1. So we're just getting a bit of mid-range movement in one of our kind of middle sine waves here, and it goes from more like a dum dum to a It gives it a little bit more of a growl, but it's very, very subtle, but it really kind of makes the sound a lot cooler. Now this is the basic voicing done. So all we're going to do next is we're going to move over to the effects. And if you notice, I left everything at 1 voice here as well, and I also left the phase at 0, so we've got a really consistent sub bass every time we touch the keys. We're going to add a tiny bit of distortion, soft clipping, and just mix in a very small amount, just as a way to kind of give a little bit more volume to everything. And then we're going to really boost things up here with the compressor. And that's going to really, oh, you can already hear it impacts the sound in a very, very big way. And all that kind of white noise that we had before is really come to life now. So we can sort of control that again here. Depending on how much kind of a noisy character you want for the sub. I just want a tiny bit. That's perfect there. And with the compressor, what I've done is I've just, when you throw it on, it's not quite giving this loud volume yet. So what you have to do is turn up the attack and turn down the release. And then at that point, you're letting all the frequencies kind of come through and all be smashed together by this multi-band compressor mode. And now I've added a little bit of stereo information to the whole bass with a little bit of chorusing here, just on 4 voices, and I kind of left everything else the same, just turned down the mix. It's a really nice room sound, and I've done a tiny bit of reverb and just taken out the low end here. You can barely notice, but there's a tiny tail on the sound and makes things a little bit more natural. So in the kind of mix then, really nice and powerful. We've not sidechained it yet, we've not EQ'd it yet, so if we kind of play with the speed as well, we could automate this speed to give it a bit of different rhythms over time. But if I just go on to do what I would do next, is I would actually just, the first thing I'd do in the post-processing as a little bonus tip is I would just tame the low end side information, because I use the chorus and the reverb on it. So you can see all of this stereo stuff down here, which we don't need, so we're going to go up to about 80. Go for about 100 actually, just to tighten up the mono compatibility of the low end. And finally, I'm just going to add in a little bit of a sidechain to our kick here. And I've got a basic kick 2-step preset that I've made on my LFO tool. So it just cuts out the volume where the kicks are, and then I can just mix the volume down here. Can maybe make these a bit shorter as well. To allow that kick a bit more breathing space. And that's pretty much the tasty low-end formant scale bass. And yeah, like I said before, to help you with your low end and getting that really powerful sound, you just need to be a bit more experimental with the way that you kind of use sine waves together, and frequency modulating them together to give interesting combinations between them, and also moving things very, very slightly on an LFO. For example, the form scale to kind of bend the sine wave a little bit, a tiny bit of filtering, perhaps not on all of them, but just on one of them, to the kind of where you can kind of hear this growl is really nice on that particular sine wave. So it's all very intricate details, little bits of noise, some speed, and yeah, that's the tasty bass. I hope you like that video. I really, really appreciate all of your support. So like I said at the beginning of the video as well, if you want to take advantage of my one-on-one lessons that I do, you can check out the information down below. And you can also check out my Vital presets. I'll have a new pack coming out soon. Also, if you want to be a part of my Discord community, we are always looking for new people to chat with. Come and join, link down below for that. And also, if you like to release your own music and do self-publishing like I do, and you need someone to master your track nice and quickly and effectively, I can also help you with that. So I hope you guys have a wicked, wicked day, and see you soon. Bye.